So in this strong sellers market of 2021, statistics are showing that 55% of buyers are not happy with their real estate transaction due to market conditions, as well as their experience with their buyer's agent. So it's so important that you vet the buyer's agent that you're choosing to help you find a house. I'm going to offer you 5 questions in today's video that you can utilize to interview a buyer agent that you find. Don't just take the first person that you meet. You want to make sure that you're on the same page as far as communication. They understand and are listening to your wants and needs. They know what your financial resources are. It is so important to have a buyer's agent in your corner during this strong seller's market, but it's more important that you make sure you have a great, strong working relationship and a comfortable relationship with trust and communication with that buyer's agent. So let's get to it. Hey, Laura Gallant here with Mountain Prairie Living, empowered by ERA Shields. And on this channel, I talk about real estate topics that are going to help add value, offer you information, educate you, and empower you during the real estate transaction. So let's get to today's questions. I'm going to discuss 5 questions that you can consider using when you're interviewing a buyer's agent. And if you watched last week's video, then you know I discussed some ideas of topics that you can ask a listing agent. So I will post a link to that video right there. So let's get into it. First question that you should ask is, do you require me to sign a contract? Now, a real estate professional should, and one that's experienced won't go further without having a contract with you. So this interview process is really important because you will be entering into a buyer agency contract with that person. So you want to make sure that you're comfortable, you trust them, and you're on the same page. But what's in a buyer agency? If you're a first-time home buyer, they should be going through that with you. So a buyer agency is a contract between you and the buyer's agent to say that for a certain period of time, they're going to help you, and you authorize them to make an offer for you, or write an offer. They're not going to make the offer, you're going to make the offer, but they're going to write an offer for you. They're going to know what your financial resources are. They're going to have a pre-approval letter for the amount of loan that you can offer up to. So you really want to ask that question because it's going to identify the real estate professionals, the full-time ones, and the ones that really understand what this transaction begins with, and it's a buyer agency. Now, read it carefully, and they should go through it with you, because some buyer agents ask for a retainer fee or they ask for an hourly fee, and rightly so. When we are preparing to show you properties, we've spent hours online searching for them, discussing things with you. We had a buyer consultation, which is partly what's going to happen after the interview if you choose them. We sit down and we spend hours going through houses. We set up the appointments. We print out documents. We do some research on them. And then we drive you to all of these properties. So some agents want to recoup some of that cost because not all agencies go into a full contract. So some will have that. So watch for that. Now, a good question to ask is, can I terminate this contract if the relationship you and I are having is not going well for me? And the answer in our state of Colorado is yes. You always have the right to cancel a contract. If there were some retainer fees or that, you might have to owe on those. If you're going to go try to purchase a house that they already showed you, there might be a little holdover period for that particular house. So read the fine print on those contracts. But know that you can terminate, but so can that real estate agent. If you become a difficult client for them, they may make the decision to say, you know what, this relationship isn't working well, and I'd like to terminate. Question number 2 is an important one. You want to ask, what strategies do you do or utilize in a multiple offer situation to help me win in that situation? So they should tell you a little bit about a story about a recent situation that they've utilized a particular strategy and it worked. They should discuss some of those strategies with you. And if you're wondering about some of the strategies that we're currently using in this crazy seller's market, then check out that video above that I posted on the strategies of winning in a multiple offer situation. So they should be able to speak to appraisal gaps, escalation clauses, increased earnest money, or waiver of certain things on the contract. Listen to those. If there are ones that you're not comfortable with, then right then and there tell them, I'm not going to do that. I'm never going to do that. So that they know where you sit financially and emotionally in this situation, so that when they're working to create an offer for you on a house that you found, they're working for the same objective that you have and the same expectations that you have within that offer. So this question is a really good one, because they should be able to tell you about a story about where they won and where they haven't won. And it's a great opening question to kind of find out a little bit more about their skill level, about their recent experiences, and for you to be educated on what those strategies are. So don't hesitate to ask that question. It's a really good one. Question number 3. This is one of the same questions I offered in interviewing a listing agent. Communication. Communication in any relationship, whether it be business, personal, or workplaces, it's really important that you have the right communication style and expectations between each other. So this is where you're going to ask, how are they going to connect to you? How often are they going to connect to you? They should be maybe setting up a regularly weekly call with you to make sure that you're on the same page, to ask about the listings that they have sent to you, to discuss the listings that they have showed you, to make sure that they're fine-tuning down to really hone in on what you really are looking for. So what is their communication style? Are they a text person? Are they an email person? Or are they a phone call person? And it's your opportunity to also describe what your style of communication is and how often you would like it. This is where we set boundaries and expectations as far as communication. And I would say to you that this is one of the number one issues that come up in a relationship. And so when we were talking about that statistic of 55% of buyers in the current market are not happy with their real estate transaction and their relationship with their buyer's agent, I would tell you that communication is probably near the top of the reasons why. Now, question number 4, this one's going to give you a little insights. You're going to ask them, how many clients are they currently working with? And how many transactions have they closed this year or within the last 6 months? It's going to tell you about how they operate, and it's going to open up the door for them to explain to you that they have maybe a showing agent, someone who's going to show you the houses, and it's not going to be them. A transaction coordinator that you're going to connect to with regards to disclosures once you go under contract. So if they are a very busy agent, doesn't mean they're a bad agent. It shows you that they're a terrific agent. But you want to know that. So if your expectation is to communicate with them directly the entire time, that might not be the situation, and that might not be the real estate agent that works well for you. But a busy buyer's agent is going to have resources that they need to help them manage lots of people through transactions. So asking that question is going to open up a little bit of information about them. One, if they are busy, that tells you a little bit about how great they are. But if they are a moderately, an agent who only wants to handle a certain amount of clients and they want to handle them all themselves, and there are agents out there like that, and that's what's more comfortable for you, then you want to make sure that you know that. So they might say to you, I handle 3 to 5 closings a month. I like to handle them all. I do have a transaction coordinator, but I will be the one showing you the properties so that I can see the property, so that when we write the offer, I really understand that particular property. So it's going to give you a lot of insights into the way that person operates. It'll also outline and expose who you will also be working with in that transaction. Question number 5. You want to ask this question because you want to make sure they're going to be honest, upfront, and that they know that particular neighborhood that you're zoning in on. So you want to ask, these expectations, these wants and needs that I just described to you, my price point and the neighborhood that I'd really like to be in, am I being reasonable? Is that something that we can find in that price point in that neighborhood? Now, they should know that neighborhood. If they don't know that neighborhood and they speak to it and it's not necessarily true, or maybe they don't even want to do that, they want to dodge the question and then just take you to a bunch of houses that are higher priced than you can afford for you to understand that maybe that neighborhood is too high for me. That's not what you want to do. You don't want to waste time doing that. So it's a great question to see if they are honest, trustworthy, if they're going to really share with you some more information that you didn't know, because in this fast-moving market, you might have thought that that neighborhood was still within reach at the price point that you can afford. And in the last 6 months, that's changed. But it's a great question to kind of make sure that they're listening to you, that they heard what you said, and that they are able to shift and offer suggestions and other opportunities that you might consider. Now, in addition to these 5 questions, there are other questions that you should ask. But no matter who you're interviewing, whether it be a listing agent or a buyer's agent, you should always ask for references. They should be able to give you 2 or 3 names that you can call on the phone and call them on the phone and have a conversation with that previous client. See what their experience was. There's going to be pros and cons, but you want to have a great conversation with someone who's already experienced their service. And of course, they can refer you to testimonials online, and maybe you already did that research, which you should do that research. But make sure you're asking those questions and make sure you're making that call. This is a huge investment. These are huge investments for many people. And you want to make sure that the person you're working with is in your corner, that they're definitely listening and that you trust them. And the only way to get to that place is to do that interview in the beginning, to vet them, to make sure that you're on the same page. But also know that if somewhere in that transaction it's not going the way you hope and you haven't found what you're looking for and they don't seem to be listening, you have the right to terminate that buyer agency. So I'm so glad you watched the video. I hope you found value in it, and you subscribe to the channel, give this one a thumbs up, share it with a friend. And if you have any further questions, feel free to reach out down below. So I'm going to post a video to strategies on appraisal gap and such so that you can learn more and educate yourself a little bit more, which is what this channel is all about. Have a wonderful day, and thanks so much for watching.